we're just going to take some deep breaths and kind of quiet our minds and quiet our spirit. Get ourselves in a place of receiving new information. Lilith, most majestic goddess, so full of empowerment and strength. We invite you to please come in and be a part of this learning today. We ask that you would please grant to us your strength, your wisdom, the essences of you that we need to bring ourselves to our highest self. We welcome you, Lilith. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
All right, so I've done other dark goddesses, and that's up on the YouTube Witchy Workshop. So I've done Hecate and Morrigan, and then COVID kind of hit, so we kind of stopped. So now I'm trying to get this started back up, and the third goddess in the series is Lilith. So, hit my right buttons, new computer. There we go. So, who is Lilith? It's complicated. Lilith has a lot of different background stories, a lot of different origin stories. She's known in a lot of different ancient cultures. So you can do a lot of research and come up with, you know, a whole bunch of different stories as, you know, where Lilith has come from and kind of what her essences are. So she has many faces. She is known as the Dark Mother. She is known as, and I'm hoping I'm going to say this right, I did practice saying it, the demoness Lamashut. She's a goddess. She is an embodiment of feminine empowerment. In the Jewish folklore known as Adam's first wife before Eve, and she can be found in Sumerian and Jewish text. So Adam and Lilith. So as the story goes, and you won't, you know, this is kind of more of a Jewish rendition. You won't find this like in the you know, Christian or Catholic Bibles. But Lilith was made, so Adam was made from the dirt of the earth, and Lilith was made from the dirt of the earth. So this put them on equal footing. They were made the same. Well, Lilith was sexually adventurous. She also felt her equality to Adam, and she didn't understand why, you know, he was kind of taking this, you know, not a partnership, not an equal thing, but that he was above her, and sexually she wanted to be on top. Mm-hmm. So she wanted to be a top, and this just completely freaked Adam out. So Adam apparently, as the story goes, went back to God and said, you know, I need something that is flesh of my flesh, bone of my bone. I need something different. This one is, you know, I mean, basically, if you could put it into modern words, it's like, this one is mouthy. This one is you know, pushy. She wants this, she wants equality, she wants that, you know, and I'm paraphrasing a lot of it. And so Lilith was at that time expelled from the garden. She was no longer going to be Adam's wife, and then as the story goes, Adam was put to sleep. God took out his rib and made the woman essentially from Adam, giving Adam dominance over Eve, so that Eve would be more of a, you know, submissive type. I know my place because I came from you. We didn't come on equal ground like Lilith and Adam did. So now, what's going on with Lilith? You know, Lilith has basically been expelled from paradise. So she's got a lot of hurt feelings, as you can imagine. So some think that, you know, what are we going to do with her? You know, religion, patriarchal religion, what are we going to do with her? We have to demonize her. So that's when kind of all the stories came out that Lilith was the serpent, that she was the one who went in and then tricked Eve into eating the fruit, that she would steal babies and I believe eat them. You know, so the patriarchy had to come up with, you know, how do we explain Lilith, you know, and could we just, you know, focus on Adam and Eve because that's the way it's supposed to go, and, you know, the man's in charge and whatever. So there was a lot of demonizing of her, but that's not how I see Lilith. And, you know, again, anybody who wants to work with any deity really needs to, you know, I'm going to have this little seminar here. We're going to touch on things, but if you ever want to work with a specific deity, you need to research that deity on your own, because how we work with other deities is by knowing them. Mm-hmm. So you've got to know them. But so that's the story of Adam and Lilith. And then why Lilith? Why would someone perhaps seek out Lilith to partner with, to work on things? I think she is an excellent shadow working deity, an excellent empowerment deity, and she is the embodiment of, you know, the divine feminine that we carry within all of ourselves, that empowerment. And she knows our pain. She knows the pain of being cast out and then villainized when all she wanted was that equal partnership. So, but, and that's the other thing I love about her, she's going to expect you to grow. She's gone through her pain, mm-hmm. and she's grown from it. So if you invite her to work with you, she will share that empowerment, but she's going to expect you to use that empowerment to grow yourself. So for myself personally, I struggle a lot with pleasing everyone. Mm-hmm. A lot of conditioning in my past, pleasing everyone. And
that's the ancestral conditioning, isn't it?
Yeah. You got to be a pleaser. Mm-hmm. And but that doesn't always lead to my best good. Mm-hmm. It kind of it diminishes me. By constantly pleasing someone else, even though I felt it should have been different, or, you know, then I kind of my needs get trampled on. It diminishes your spirit. Mm-hmm. And working with her, and I'm still working, to be more assertive for your own needs. And
to know your place. Not your place in a submissive way, but your place as an equal.
As an equal.
You know.
Not better than,
Nope.
but also not
in front,
than.
not behind, but together.
Yeah, together. And when your spirit is feeling strong because you've kind of stood up for yourself, that's when you can grow. But when you're diminished because you're just all down here, I'm just going to make everybody happy, and you can't grow out of that.
No.
That's not a good place. So, but if you're going to start working with her, people need to understand she's not going to leave you where you're at. You're going to have to change. So, now how do we approach Lilith? And this is something I do in all of my seminars. Okay, either I feel like I've been called by Lilith, or I know I really want to work with Lilith. Well, again, how do we do that? And first and foremost is your own research. Seeking out and researching a deity tells them first and foremost that you're trying to honor them, you're trying to respect them because you know them. We always feel more connected to someone who knows us and someone who seeks to know us. When someone who's kind of just flibbity-gibbet in our lives is like, oh, hey, how you doing? Well, to say, yeah, I'm fine, because they don't really want to know. Right. They don't really want to know you. But the people that we really value in our lives are the ones who are asking that in earnest.
Right.
Who have spoken with you enough or walked with you through things enough. So the knowing of the deity is very important. And then be ready for that change and transformation. Because it's coming. Because that's kind of the whole point, and I see that as a reoccurring theme as I work with these, and we call them dark goddesses. Hel, Lilith, Morrigan, Hecate. They're considered the more darker goddesses, and it's like, oh, you work with a dark goddess? It's like, well, I have darkness in myself. So if I'm going to shadow work, if I'm going to get any better, I'm going to have to, it can't be light and love all the time. You've got to deal with the dark because we all have that within us. So just be ready for that transformation. Be humbly ready to delve into your darkness, and then be consistent with it.
Is the darkness something we have, or is it an image that other people have put on the goddess? Because quite often people associate dark with evil, and we're not.
Right.
And I'm wondering if it's just
I think they get equated as dark goddesses, because especially like with who am I thinking of now? Lilith, and like Hel, even Persephone, but she's not considered a dark goddess. They've had dark times in their lives. They've had to go through some crap. And so, they're not going to stand there before you and say it's all sunshines, flowers, and rainbows. And, the darkness that we get within ourselves, now we delve into that whole, Tablet Rousseau, nature versus nurture. Then you have past lives and things and karmatic things that you could have drawn over from that. But we know that we need to find that balance of light and dark. So I feel the title dark is kind of put upon them. Obviously Lilith, because she was demonized. And so, oh, Lilith is a demon. And then the other ones, they're heavier entities, and they expect more. They expect more because they have gone through more. So, if you approach them and you want to work with them, it's like, yeah, fine, but if we're going to do this, we're going to do this. So that really ugliness part about yourself, that really cruddy part that you keep so far down deep that you don't even remember, we need to get there. We need to get there and deal with that if we're going to get here, if we're going to move you to a higher point of self. So, but yeah, I think a lot of that title just gets put on them.
Well, it's experiencing the darkness that makes us stronger.
Right.
So, and as you said, she's balanced both sides, which makes her stronger.
Yeah. I think so. It just, so much of life is about balance. And, sometimes I'm unbalanced because being in that people-pleasing place, it's all, and I'll just do whatever, you want, so it's okay, and whatever, no, I'm fine. And, I don't speak about my concerns or needs, or, because just so long as everybody else is happy.
Right.
So you kind of need to have, I call it badassery. Right. You need, sometimes, especially when you are more of a people pleaser like me, you need some of that badassery. Now, there are some people out there, not going to lie, that are too focused on themselves, and their needs getting met and it being the way that they want, and makes them very abrasive and kind of losing a sense of community because they're not willing to compromise at all, whereas I will compromise too much. So, balance. Trying to find that balance. So, yeah, and be consistent if you're going to start working with her. Morrigan's the same way. She doesn't, if you start something with Morrigan, we had done the series on Morrigan, the woman at the ford, where she has like these long, nails, and she's just going to take you into the water, and she's just going to start ripping off the crap that doesn't serve you. But if you start with her, she'll take you to the end, kicking and screaming if you.
Now, explain what you mean by be consistent. Consistent in what?
Consistent in your work with her. Like, don't start it and then, I'm just too busy this week. I'm not gonna sit with Lilith and meditate and look at myself. I don't have the time for that right now. So you kind of have to be ready to make a routine out of it. And also being consistent with, we discovered this together about myself. Now, this is the part that I liken to, I'm a gardener. When I'm weeding the garden, I can pull out the weeds, and I always want to pull them out when they're little. And we do. We want to pull out the crap from ourselves while it's still little, as it's easier. But if I just pull it out and throw it back in the dirt, guess what it's going to do?
Regrow.
It's going to reweed, because weeds are just amazing. So, I have to gather up the weeds and take them away from the garden. So if your spirit is the garden, yeah, okay, you're pulling them, and you're pulling them while they're little, and that's good, but you can't leave it there. You've got to finish the job. And, by journaling and writing things down, and, this is what she showed me within myself this time. Well, that's great that you saw that, but what are you going to do about it? Okay, great, you're aware of it, so you've kind of pulled it up, but now we've got to retrain ourselves to think differently, behave differently, if we want different outcomes. So I think that's what I mean by being consistent. Carry it through. You know, don't just hear it, do something with it. So
Follow her instruction.
right. So follow it through.
Is Lilith somebody? I'm sorry.
No,
Is
please.
Lilith someone that let's say you're walking, okay, and you feel a fear? Would you call on Lilith to help give you that strength?
I would.
Yeah.
I would. Lilith, again, it's that badassery, that strength to stand up for yourself. So, and Leon and I, this is a whole nother discussion. Leon and I were having a discussion the other day about how, you know, being on the street and, you know, being female and being on the street and, you know, things that I had learned to do when I lived in the city, like always making eye contact. You know, if you feel somebody looking at you, you look them straight back in the eye, because having the strength to do that says, I've got other strength. I'm not an easy target.
Right.
So, but yeah, definitely, you know, when the fit hits the shan in my life and someone is coming at me hard, Lilith is the first one I call upon, because I know that I'm conditioned to be meek and polite, and this moment is not going to call for that. So, you know, I gotta put my Lilith on.
I love that.
Yeah, time to put my
Put
Lilith
the
on.
Lilith on.
So, along with getting to know a deity that you're going to work with, another great way to kind of begin that work is raising an altar to that deity. So for Lilith, and this is one of my favorite symbols right here. I hand draw this symbol on the sachets I do for her. So it's Lilith Regina Immortalis. So Lilith, reign forever. I love that one. But so you can use her sigil. She loves lilies. Lilies and lotus are kind of her flowers, and then you could also offer, you know, when you do an altar, you find the things that particular goddess likes. Put her sigil up, put her image up, bring the flowers, and then as far as incense and candles, her favorite scent is sandalwood. So you know, and then you kind of set up that altar. This would be something I would do after I've done a good amount of research, you know, so that now that I've had this altar and I'm going to want to speak to her, I have a sense of her, and then I can speak, you know, not as, you know, I can speak honorably, not as just, hey, you know, here I am. No, I actually know some things about you, and so now I'm going to speak to you and tell you, this is what I want to do. This is the work I'm inviting you to come and shoulder with me to do this work. And that might be it. And so ends the seminar. Any more questions? I love questions. You are just a joy to have here, by the way. I love how you're interacting and asking questions. And so if you have any more, please ask.
No, I don't. I really am impressed with that sigil, and where would I go to get copies of her sigil?
I actually pulled that off of Google Images. So you can like you just Google Lilith sigils, and different sigils will come up. But that one's definitely my
yeah,
favorite.
That's wonderful. You know, it's interesting because I'm sure you've watched Frasier, and his wife's name was Lilith,
Uh-huh.
and I think that uh, that was the perfect name for her.
Yes.
She was a dark-haired woman, you know, and she was sure of herself, and she was strong. She was intelligent.
Yes.
You know, yeah, that.
Yeah, I remember that character, and she was totally a Lilith.
Yeah, perfect.
Leon, you can stop videoing if you would like.